The NBA trade deadline is a little over 2 months away, and one name is starting to pop up in multiple rumors. Should the Sixers do what they can to get their hands on a Malcolm Brogdon? We will talk about all of that and more right here on Philly Take with RB. But before we jump into it, do me a favor. If you enjoy these videos, hit that like button, help push it around, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you don't miss any of the content. Follow us on all platforms. Go check out our brand new site, PhillyTakeWithRB.com. Go cop yourself some of the fire merch. I have a question for the people out there, man. Is Malcolm Brogdon worth it? Should the Sixers go out, maybe even pay a premium, and go bring a 31-year-old guard to this team to fill multiple roles? Give me your thoughts. What do you think? Let me know down below. We're going to take a deeper dive into this. We're going to look at some of the numbers, see if it's actually realistic, talk about how it really could happen. But before we do that, I also want to let you know that if you're someone out there who is interested in a degree in sports, or maybe even a degree in sports management, how about any degree where you don't even have to leave the comfort of your own home? If the answer to that question is yes, then listen up, because this may be of real benefit to you. I am proud to announce our newest sponsor here of the show on today's video. Shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Southern New Hampshire University. You know, funny enough, years ago, I enrolled in college trying to figure out how to obtain a degree in sports. But as a first-generation college student, I had little to no experience, really no guidance at all. And an SNHU would have been a perfect opportunity for someone like me, and maybe it can benefit you, as their online sports management program lets you turn a passion for sports into a degree. You'll learn about the business and economics of sports, sports management principles, and how to gather and analyze data. This degree can help you prepare for many careers like an athletic director, sports information director, marketing manager, and other exciting roles in the sports industry. You'll even be able to tap into SNHU's network of grads, help establish those connections with individuals working in sports-related organizations, and you'll be able to take advantage of an internship or experiential learning course within the field as well. SNHU has one of the largest accredited nonprofit online degree offerings in the country. They are radically affordable, and their online tuition rates are some of the lowest in the nation. So do yourself a favor, go down to the description, click the link, go to snhu.edu/PhillyTake to see what the current average annual salary is for any of their programs, and request free info about the program. A real person will even schedule to hop on a call with you and discuss how the program can benefit you personally. Once again, check it out, snhu.edu/PhillyTake. All right, man, let's jump into it. First off, shout out to our guy, B-Ball Paul. He sat down with the media today, and they started asking questions. He says, yo, don't ask me nothing controversial. Shout out to our guy, Out the Mud. If you know, you know. He probably saw the feedback from the Anthony Davis comments, and he's like, don't even ask me anything, all right? I'm good. Don't ask me about Oubre. Don't ask me about AD or Jordan Poole tomorrow night or whatever. I'm good. Also, a quick update. Kelly Oubre Jr. is not on the injury report for the first time in a long time. He will be available tomorrow. Great sign in Washington. Also, Embiid and Maxey not listed on the report. Seems like guys are finally starting to get healthy. Unfortunately, though, Melton does have the illness now. It's spreading around the locker room. Hopefully, he's the last guy en route, and it also says he's probable. So hopefully the entire team is ready to go, locked in tomorrow, try to start up another win streak. All right, let's talk about Brogdon, man, because I'll be honest, man, it's a really tricky thing for me. I don't understand, first and foremost, why Malcolm Brogdon is still on the Blazers. Okay, he was almost traded earlier this offseason in the Marcus Smart deal. He then was traded, and now he's with a clear rebuilding situation. Was the Blazers' idea to bring Brogdon in, let him kind of mentor some of these young guys like a Scoot Henderson and build his value up more? Maybe the trade market on Brogdon was little to none, and that's why they held on to him, and they said, okay, at the deadline, we can get a whole lot more for this guy when he proves his value. Maybe that's it. It's very tricky because he's a skilled player, but he does have the injury concerns. He was banged up already a couple weeks ago. He has not played in every game, but the games he's played in, he looks really good. So yesterday, scrolling the internet, somebody sent this to me. Shout out to Jake Weinbach. This is not a report by any means. I'm guessing this is just his thoughts based on, prior reports in the offseason, et cetera, and some of the interest. But he says the Sixers could express interest in Blazers guard Malcolm Brogdon as they search for avenues to upgrade the roster with some of the assets received in the Clippers deal, Philly should be expected to weigh a variety of options leading up to the February trade deadline. And that leads us back to an article that was put out just a little while ago here on Hoops Hype. Mike Scotto says that the Blazers could potentially acquire a protected first-round pick. That's what he's putting the label as on the return for a Malcolm Brogdon. Here he says, 3 executives who spoke with Hoops Hype believe Portland will be able to acquire a protected first-round pick in this year's draft should they decide to trade Brogdon and open up more playing time for the number 3 overall pick, Scoot Henderson. So you look at that, okay, that's, pretty steep price for Brogdon. I mean, if they were to do a deal with the Sixers, right, then, Blazers will probably end up getting a first out of this, and you'd have to throw in some salary filler, okay? And that takes me where I always go when we propose these trade ideas, right? What are the numbers like? What are the financials like? We could talk about all these different deals, scenarios, players. What do the numbers look like? So Malcolm Brogdon this year is making $22.5 million. He's 31 years old. And next year he will be making $22.5 million as well. Okay, well, RB, how is he playing this year? So far, he's played 14 games with the Blazers. Like I said, he did have an injury, but he didn't really miss a ton of games. He started in 9 out of 14 of those games, and he is averaging almost 30 minutes per game. He is averaging 18 points per game. He is averaging over 6 assists, 4.2 rebounds, and he's shooting 38.5% from 3 on about 5.6 attempts per game. So, above average, right? Good shooter, a little bit of a wonky form, but he can play that backup guard role. And for a Sixers team right now, I know we're on the high of the Pat Bev game the other night ago, but the Sixers are going to need a backup guard, right? They're going to need a guy to step in, maybe stagger with a Tyrese Maxey. DeAnthony Melton started off really cold, but the way he has come along is been very promising this year. However, the Sixers are going to need more playmaking, right? Depending on how Maxey continues to evolve this year, it would be very nice to have a guy you could throw next to Maxey, a guy you could bring in place of Maxey at times, and a guy who could really just lead that second unit. And that is what Malcolm Brogdon has proven to do, right? He's won 6th Man of the Year before. He's in there mentoring Portland, and he's just doing his thing. He had a really good game against the Sixers, early in the season. So he's a really good player. For me, it's tough with the price point because of the injury factor, right? You bring in a Brogdon, you're probably going to have to send out, I don't know, maybe a Batum or a Morris. You're probably going to obviously throw in a first-round pick, but you're going to have to fill probably some of those depth contracts that you acquired in the Clippers deal with maybe even more, maybe even a young player, given the fact that the Blazers are in rebuild mode and they're trying to acquire a lot of these young assets. It also has to make sense for them, right? So is Brogdon the right piece? I think he is fit-wise, but based on where the Sixers are at, they're about to get Kelly Oubre back, which I talked about yesterday, is going to make a significant impact on the presence of this team. And I think then you're going to really start to find out, who's going to play that 6-man role. Maybe it's going to be Kelly. I actually would prefer that, right? What if you could move Kelly back to that 6-man role, get him back in the flow, comfortable, and if you were to bring in a Brogdon type piece, what if you then move DeAnthony Melton back to where he is more comfortable on the bench? I think it makes a lot of sense fit-wise. Then you have Brogdon as a starter on this team, and we saw what he did last year in the playoffs. So it's all about staying healthy, which is the case for a lot of players, in this organization in general. But at the end of the day, man, I think you have to wait and see. I think you wait and see, take a couple weeks or take a month or two, see how Oubre fits back into the seam of this team, see how the flow is. And if you still decide that that backup playmaking is your biggest area of concern and the one you need to address going into the deadline, then I think you go out and you try to make a deal for a Malcolm Brogdon. I really think that's the best approach at this point. He's a very talented player. And to be honest, I don't think anybody expected him to even still be in Portland at this point, but he will be a hot name. He's going to start to heat up. He already is. They're talking about him for different situations. And I'll tell you what I do not want. I do not want him ending up in Boston again. I don't want him ending up in Milwaukee or Miami or whoever else is going to be competing in the East, right? He is a Sixer killer as well, and he will find a way to make it happen. So those are my thoughts on Malcolm Brogdon. I think the numbers will be hard, but obviously it could be done. And if you can get him for the right price, I think he fits a lot of the needs and he checks a lot of boxes for what this Sixers team will need to address going forward. Give me all your thoughts down below in the comment section. As always, appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. That being said, I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.